Hi, I'm Jimmy Lam. I'm a skin cancer doctor at the White Horse Skin Cancer Clinic in Mitcham, Victoria. So lovely to meet you. I'm one of the skin cancer doctors here. Today I'm going to talk to you about melanoma. It's a word that puts fear in a lot of people, and so I just wanted to make sure that I can put something out there to at least help educate and to help you be aware of what it is and what to watch for, and when it is you should come in to see us. So, what is melanoma? Well, melanoma is actually a collection of different skin cancer subtypes put together. There are three sort of major skin cancer categories. There's the basal cell carcinomas, there's the squamous cell carcinomas, and then the third category that we often think of is the melanomas. And of those three, it is the more aggressive version, and it's also the one that is associated with a higher mortality rate. And so that's why it can be more aggressive, it spreads more easily, and so therefore it's something that a lot of us are a lot more concerned about, not just patients but doctors, and we always want to make sure that we catch it. Now, the interesting thing about melanomas is that it's to do with the pigments. And so what happens, that's if you have a look at our skin, so I've got sort of yellowish skin from being an Asian. Some of my Aussie friends have pale skin. Some of my Indian friends have dark skin. Why do we have different skin colors? Well, it's to do with melanin. And so melanin is a pigment or a color that your cell releases in your skin cells. And its main use is to help protect your cell, especially the DNA, from sunlight, but also just pigments your skin. It gives you different shades of color. Now, what happens in melanoma is that unfortunately some of these cells that make these colors, they go haywire, and instead of just releasing melanin, they actually become a cancer in itself with abnormal growth and become invasive and spread. So in terms of what we usually look for, we often think of something called the ABCDE rule. And so what is that? That's just an easy mnemonic for us to remember in terms of what it is that we should be watching for to figure out which moles we should be worried about. So A stands for asymmetry. So in other words, if you look at the mole and it's like this and you cut it in half and you look at the left half and the right half and they don't match, then there's something not right with it. So in other words, if the left half doesn't match with the right half either in shape or color or thickness, then it's a little bit sus. If you look at the borders, most of your moles, I don't have a nice mole here. Oh, I've got a mole on my face. Which side of my face is it? You can just see here. You got a mole on my face. If you have a look at the mole in the face, but you might do the same with in the mirror when you're at home. If you see it's nice and round and the edges are nice and clean, great. That's an excellent sign. That is a sharp, clean edge border. But if the borders are irregular, it doesn't mean it's necessarily a skin cancer, but it certainly increases the risk. So an irregular border, that's B, would increase the suspicion that something nasty is going on. Color, C. So A, B, C, it's asymmetry, border, color. Color, if it's an uneven color, if it's got all shades of the rainbow in the mole, that doesn't look right. If you have a look at most moles, it's a uniform color, either brown all the way through, black all the way through. But if you've got different shades in there, again, you probably should be seeing us to make sure it gets checked out to make sure everything's okay. What's D? D's for diameter. So actually, the larger the mole, the more likely it is that something suspicious is going on. Now, again, these are rules of thumb. It's not always the case. And certainly people can be born with quite large birthmarks that are completely benign. But if you've got a mole that's more than 6 millimeters, probably should be checked out. A, B, C, D, asymmetry, border, color, diameter. E, evolving. This is probably the most important sign that I talk to my patients about. If it's changing, it needs to be checked. In fact, it probably should be sampled. Moles that change are not usual. Now, there are some benign moles that can change, and so therefore it's I can't say that across the board I'd cut them all out, but what I would say that it definitely needs being checked out. What is ABCDE again? Asymmetry, border, color, diameter, and evolving. There are some other rules of thumbs I go by as well, and that is that if it is what we call the ugly duckling, it's the only mole that looks like that amongst all your freckles and spots and it just looks out of place, get it checked. If you're concerned, get it checked. And as I said before, if it changes, please get it checked.